We're coming to you from IIM Calcutta's campus, and of course in the last few weeks the big news point has been the IIM bill. So for the first time we'll have reactions from the faculty and students of IIM Kolkata, but that's not the only thing on the show. Munideepa?
IIM Calcutta, and we are at the Innovation Park here, and what can we do but talk about the big buzzword today, startups. We have with us young entrepreneurs and we'll be discussing what they have dreamt up.
So let me just introduce the panelists. We have, of course, Professor Ashok Banerjee, faculty member, and he's in charge of the whole innovation. And also we have here Chandradeep Mitra. He's visiting faculty and someone who is an entrepreneur himself. Of course, the entrepreneurs themselves, Munideepa.
That's right. Please, your name, Vinay.
Vinay.
And you have O Energy. I can see that, Energy. And your venture, Gaurav?
It's got showrooms in hostel.
And that's a bunch of
Backpackers hostel chain as well as the budget hotel segment.
Okay, so we'll be hearing from the entrepreneurs in just a bit, but of course, IIM bill. That's got people worried because is that the thing which is going to kind of gain control, government control of the an premier institute like yours? How worried are you, Professor Banerjee?
See, a lot has been said on the IIM bill and written about. I have a very balanced view on this. It's my personal view. One is we have been asking for some authority to grant degrees, instead of diplomas to students. So in the bill, there is a provision that the institutions like IIMs can now give degrees. It's a good news for the students. Also, we want to internationalize. So we want to attract students from outside the country to come here. Currently, we give diplomas, so nobody wants to come. They know that IIM is a big brand. They provide quality education, but because we can't give degrees, they don't come. So I think this degree granting status, as provision in the bill, would enable us to attract students from abroad as well, good quality students, to improve the international character of the institution. That's the first thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. However, there are apprehensions and certain clauses in the bill which need to be addressed. And I would mention 3 specific clauses, and I feel if these are addressed, then the bill could be acceptable to the larger mass. And these clauses are section 3K, which talks about that all the regulations under the bill would require central government approval. It's kind of overarching provision. So we have written to the ministry, and we hope they will take a considered view that section 3K need to be revised. Secondly, 7I, which again talks about that if you want to set up fees, you need to have prior intimation of the central government. So there again we said that every time you cannot go. Of course, the policy level, it can be decided, but every time you cannot go. And 36(1), which says that the board, whatever decision they take, they need prior approval of central government. So every decision.
Every decision.
So these are the 3 sections, and we said that please have a look into it, and we have given a representation as well from the faculty side. We have given, and hopefully things will take.
Okay, let's go straight to the students actually and ask them what they feel about it. Diploma holders, degree holders, what would you like to be? Who will take the question? Why don't you in the red shirt go for it? Yeah.
Definitely degree holders. I think it would really help us project ourselves internationally, because right now we get diplomas and those aren't really recognized internationally, and if we go abroad, our IIM degree would matter more. Also, as Professor Banerjee said, it would also help a lot of international students come here and pursue their MBAs, and that would really help the campus community because it would increase the diversity on campus, and it would really help the cultural diversity would really help us flourish even more than we usually do on campus.
But what about thought control? I mean, are you worried about that the HRD ministry would be intervening at every step? The gentleman in the blue shirt over there.
So I do recognize that IIM bill will help the institute, and I myself am a doctoral student and recognize that once we get this bill, we will be able to get a PhD rather than a FP that we currently have, and it poses a lot of problem when students want to go for their postdoctoral and other research. So IIMs are not just about creating a marketplace of good managers, it's also a place where we do good social sciences research. So I think IIM bill is going to help us a lot.
You know, this is surprising because it seemed only the smaller, the impression we were under, and the kind of other alumni who are writing in, that only the smaller, newer IIMs wanted the degree status. But, you know, Mr. Mitra, would you say that no, this is something which a lot of the IIMs feel about? The degree status we didn't know about.
Yeah, so the fact is the older IIMs clearly have an advantage of strong brand value, and for a majority of the students who are getting into the job market, it really doesn't make a difference. Where it does make a difference is when you're trying to pursue an international degree, or when you want to bring in international students. That is where it's an added plus. So I don't think we lose out as of today. A majority of students lose out too much because of the diploma, but having a degree would definitely be a plus, and for some people, especially in academics, it will be a big plus.
Big plus, that's actually a revelation.
But I think we do have a student who has a slightly different point of view. The gentleman in the dark blue t-shirt over there.
So while many of the regulations in the bill are very good, but as we said that autonomy is very inbuilt in the campus, and it is what helps flourish the culture that is there and helps ignite the bright minds that are there in the campus. So a restriction on this autonomy can be a small deterrent, and there should be proper rules in place to see that that does not affect the culture that is there in the campus, and there is a proper freedom given to ensure everything falls in place as it has been till now, and there is no major change in the processes.
Okay, and it's interesting, I think we just wait and see how the government responds to all the three things you put, because they're quite overarching for everything that you need. And everybody, have the smaller IIMs, have they protested as well about these other provisions of going back to the government for everything?
Not that I know of.
They haven't protested. So that's interesting. And a quick question, Monideepa, perhaps to the students, is that the organizers' last editorial on IIMs and IITs was calling everyone, they're saying that it's where a lot of anti-Hindu, anti-national things are happening because of the non-veg being served, some of the kind of comments. They of course said that it was just an organized article. I wondered if the students had anything to say about that piece.
Yeah, I have read that piece of journalism where they have said that IIMs and IITs are a place where anti-Hindu sentiments are being developed in the students, but I think that is something which is not being done here. We are a community of students where people from every caste and every religion are here, and we are engaged in so many activities together that there is no place of such sentiments being developed in the students. I don't think that is possible here, even in IITs or other IIMs also.
Well said.
Okay, so great. So we have a student here who's telling us the organizer article made no sense to him. But let me go back to startups and ask these young entrepreneurs, what is it that you are developing?
So I represent Honorgy Solar. It's a renewable energy-based social enterprise. We provide energy solutions to the underserved. We primarily work in east of India and provide a range of solar solutions.
What about you, Zostel?
Yeah, so Zostel, basically we have two different verticals in that. One is Zostel, which is the backpackers hostel chain, where currently we have 8 hostels in India. And by the year end, we'll be having around 30 hostels in India, and we are also going international. We'll be starting in Vietnam very soon. And the other venture that we have is Zo Rooms, which is into budget hotel segment. Right now, we're in 35 cities with more than 500 hotels and more than 5,000 rooms.
So why startups and why not go in for a regular job at an MNC? I mean, what's the creative buzz?
See, it's all about the freedom that you get here in a startup, and it's more about identifying a problem and trying to solve it. Yeah, definitely getting an MNC job from the campus is very easy, but at times you need to challenge yourself and think, yeah, an MNC job is definitely there. You can go to the MNC job anytime. But as I said, you need to identify some problem, and if you can solve that problem, that adds a lot of value in terms of to the community and to the country as well. So that's what we're trying to do here, solving the accommodation problem.
And perhaps, you know, one of the things that I wanted to ask you as the teacher and someone who is encouraging all of this free thinking and innovation to happen, is there a problem really there when Narayan Murthy says that we're not having enough new things, creativity happening? How would you respond to that? Why is that?
Yeah, so I remember I read that piece and he talked about earth-shaking innovation. He didn't talk about incremental innovation. And you know, for that to happen, if you look at world around, most of the innovation happened with government funding. So today, if you look at India's budget for entire education, I'm not talking about science and technology, all put together is 0.8% of GDP, whereas in the US, only for science and technology, they spend 2% plus. So one is that's an issue budget. Second, look at the corporate sector as well. Yes, the faculty may be blamed a bit as well. Look at the corporate sector, the R&D department, what they are doing. All the tax concessions that they got since independence, how much they have reinvested for R&D. Do we have any single product of ours which is sold internationally and accepted internationally? So it's a problem to grapple with, and for which I think there is no shortcut solution. The long solution would be more focus on R&D and investment by the government.
Mr. Mishra, I have a question for you. If I'm not mistaken, you are an alumnus of IIM Calcutta, and you were working in the advertising sector, and then you decided to jump ship and set off on your own. What is it that prompted you to take the risks involved?
Okay, so I heard you use the term young entrepreneur. So I'm an old entrepreneur, and I decided to become an entrepreneur when I was pretty old. I think it really is being able to take stock. So Professor Banerjee really talked about investment, but there's this thing before that, which is really about mindset. So at our time, I don't think there was a conscious effort to bring in innovation and entrepreneurship into our curriculum. Today there is, and I'm so glad for that. But I think we're creating a more open, free-thinking community of people, and I think somewhere that would have seeped in, which made it much easier for me to be able to, say, I really want to do what my heart tells me to do, and I don't want to have to follow the beaten path. And I think we consciously try to build that culture.
Okay. At which point I would like to ask you, this whole HRD bill, do you think that's going to stifle the kind of creative spirits that we are seeing at IIMs all across the country, actually?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, see, till the point that your freedom is not curtailed in terms of your creativity or the kind of support that you get from the campus, it's good. But once that freedom is curtailed, I think that creativity will take a backseat in that case. Because again, you'll have to go through all the channels to get things done. Yeah, right.
Do you agree with that?
I do. That these restrictions will impact how...
Because at the moment, the free rules allowed Professor Banerjee to think of the fact that you weren't an IIM alumni, you weren't an IIM student, you came in from St. Xavier's or somewhere else, and your idea was incubated here. For that, you would now have to go back to the center if you wanted to think of any new ideas that way, according to the new regulation.
Of course, it is under board as per the new bill, but with the approval. So that thing we are contesting.
So obviously, creativity...
The support may not have been available if it had to go through certain channels that needs...
Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Also, another thing I want to put to our audience over here. Remember, if you had a look at the audience here, the number of women is a little less than we would normally see. Why is that? That's coming up in just a bit.